I'm life and business coach Samantha Sivring, and this is the Online Business Building Mamas podcast, where you learn how to build a wildly successful business from home while raising kids. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the podcast. Today, we are talking about a concept that I came up with a while ago. I think I was on a call with my life coach. Maybe I had come up with it before, but I remember saying it on a call with my life coach, and she was like, "That is brilliant. You have to tell everybody that concept." And it has been on my to-do list to make a podcast to share this tool with you, this idea with you for a really long time. And now I'm finally recording it for you. So this is the idea of thought habits. This is going to be so helpful for you. So most likely, if you listen to my podcast, you're aware that mindset is kind of important for growing your business and how you show up in your life and creating different results in your life than what you already have. You can call this thought work. You can call this mindset. You can call this self-coaching. There's a lot of different words to describe this act of recognizing that your thoughts matter and then doing something about it. So the school of thought that resonates most with me, that I come from, that I really have applied, I guess I should say, in my life is the self-coaching model. And this comes from the life coach school. This tool is something that has been really helpful to me in my life. It's not the only tool. So this episode is not just about the self-coaching model. It is really about any thought work, any kind of mental shift, any kind of mindset work you're doing. But what I have noticed in particular in like the personal development space is recognizing that your thoughts matter, recognizing that your thoughts impact your results or create your results, and then having a lot of judgment and shame and anxiety and stress about your thoughts. Has this happened to you? I guarantee it. If you have done this work, I guarantee there has been a time that you stressed out about having low vibe thoughts, thoughts that don't serve you, negative beliefs, negative self-talk, whatever. Doubt, whatever it is, it has come up for you and you have freaked out that it was there because you've been really worried that it's going to create something you don't want. And what is so terrible about that is that it creates a lot of resistance in us, and resistance actually doesn't create the results we want. The resistance to those thoughts is more detrimental to creating the results that you want than the actual thought that you were resisting. Isn't that crazy? I feel like no one is teaching you this, so I really wanted to get it out there for you. So some common thoughts people have is I can't have negative thoughts. I can't believe I'm still thinking this. I thought that I already worked on this. I already did this work. I already know this. I already worked through this. Why is this coming back up again? I should already be past this. That kind of thing. If you have been there, those thoughts are probably really resonating. Probably one of them or something similar is your go-to thought, and you have a lot of judgment around thoughts that come up. So I'm about to free you from your judgment and your struggles with thoughts that come up that feel low vibe or they don't serve you or they're negative. These thoughts are just habits. So I want you to think about biting your nails or something like that. I have a nail biter in my house, and so it's something we work on. Oh my gosh. Also, 2 of my children sucked their thumbs. This was a real habit to break with a lot of reminding. So I'm sure you can think about what's a habit that you have had that you broke? What's a habit that your kids have had that you've worked on with them or maybe in the process of working through with them? Think about bad habits and how it's almost like an unconscious thing, right? Like people who have that kind of a habit, it's not like a conscious choice. They're not like, you know what would be really good? Biting my nails. You know what would be really good? Sucking my thumb. It's like, it's almost like automatic. Like maybe sometimes it's a conscious choice, but like a lot of times they don't even realize they're doing it. They just do it. It feels like it happens to them because it's so normal for their brain. It's like an unconscious thing that they do. They don't make an intentional choice to do it. This is the same with these thoughts that you have been resisting. The thoughts that don't serve you. The thoughts that feel low vibe. Things like, I'm not enough. I'm missing something. I don't know how to do that. I'm not a whatever. I'm not the kind of person who does that. I'm not a extrovert. I'm not a whatever. Like whatever kind of stories are not serving you that keep coming up, right? That's not for me. I'm not somebody who can make $100K, $1 million, whatever. Like we all have our stories. We all have a lot of stories, by the way. We all have a lot of thoughts like this, and they don't just go away when you do work on them. So if you are into the model, the self-coaching model, just because you did a model, even if you had a breakthrough and an aha about it, doesn't mean the thought's not going to come up anymore. Healing a story like that does not mean you never have the thought come up again. You will still have the thought come up because it is a thought habit. So I want you to get into the routine of recognizing these thoughts as habits and just doing a gentle redirection. We don't have to judge it. We don't have to shame it. We don't have to freak out that we're not moved past this yet. It's totally normal to have thoughts like, I'm not enough. Thoughts like, I can't do it. I can't hit my goal. I haven't done that before. Like all of these kinds of thoughts that maybe you have worked through, and yet they still keep coming up. That is the most human thing that could ever happen to you, because that is how our brains work. Our brains love to memorize how to do something and then be able to do it on autopilot. It's like the best way for us to conserve energy is to not have to be intentional about everything we think and do. Like if we had to be intentional about breathing, we would be in trouble. When we were in Hawaii, we saw a bunch of dolphins, and I learned this insane thing about dolphins because obviously they're in the water, but they breathe air like outside of the water. And I had never thought of this before. And as soon as it was like taught to me and pointed out, I was like, okay, how can that actually be true? And how come I have never heard of that? And like, this is craziness. So dolphins have this thing in their brain where like half of their brain will sleep and half of their brain will stay awake so that they don't drown while they're asleep. It like keeps them up at the surface getting air. I'm probably explaining this really terribly, but it really blew my mind. Like, oh my gosh, what if we had to do something like that, right? Like that sounds like a lot of work. But for us, like breathing, we almost never intentionally think about it. We just do it. And that is so much like our thought habits. So here is what I want you to really think about. Like now that you see this idea of the thought habit, I want you to know a couple of things. So first, the way to get different results in your business is to really work through these thoughts, not to make them go away forever, but to really rewire your brain to start regularly thinking something else, not completely in place of, but for it to start to believe something else a little bit more than the habit thought. To like make a new habit thought. So for me, there was a time in my business, this was when I joined the first mastermind I was ever a part of. It was a really, really big investment for me. I remember like making that investment, going into that mastermind. I was like, there is no option for me to not get what I came for. Like I came in here to make a lot more money than I'm currently making, and I have to do that. Like I can't just like not make my money back. I can't just not like have the breakthroughs that I'm here to make. It's not optional for me. I have to do it. And I also knew that when I have been to conferences, like when I was in network marketing, when we would go to like the conventions, when I was super active in church in high school and we would like go to like camps or whatever, I would get very excited at these things, and then I would come home and the excitement would fade. So I knew like this is how my brain works. It's going to slowly fade. It's going to slowly go back to how I thought before, and I'm not going to carry these current thoughts with me. So when I was in that mastermind, it had a live event at the beginning of it. I took so many notes at the live event, and then I committed myself to reading the notes from the live event every single day afterwards. I was so committed to not losing that feeling that I had at the live event that I kept reading my notes and getting myself back into that feeling every single day for months afterwards. And if you know my story, you know I started making a lot more money. I was making around 10K, 8 to 10K a month, I think, when I joined the mastermind. The second full month of the mastermind, I made 30K. A couple months after that, I made 50K. I kept growing from there. My business exploded, and it was because of this. It was because I committed to brainwashing myself and rewiring my brain, being really intentional about creating new beliefs, new thought habits. And of course, I still had the old ones. The old ones still came up. The doubt still came up. The fears still came up. The negative self-talk still came up. I didn't resist it. I didn't make it a problem. So I want to tell you the process that has really served me in doing that, in allowing these thought habits to be there and not completely derail you. So the first one is awareness. And this is a big reason why I think coaching is so powerful. And it is that somebody who is outside of your brain can point out something that you can't see that you're doing or thinking because you're inside of the problem. So somebody who has a different perspective than you can see the thought errors that you're having, or like the thoughts that you're caught up in that feel very true to you. They can help you get that awareness. And then once you initially have that awareness, you never lose it. Like, yeah, you may get wrapped up in that thought, but you have the ability to remember like, oh yeah, I remember that this is a thought error and this is a thought habit that I have that's coming up. And I don't have to believe it as a true fact. I can just see it as a thought habit. So first is that awareness piece. And then getting into acceptance and compassion instead of resisting it. And I think, like I was saying at the beginning, this is a big flaw or problem, maybe mistake. I'm like, what word am I looking for? This is a big mistake that a lot of people make when they first get into personal development that I really want you to move out of. I think you really need to move out of it to be able to be as successful as you want to be in your business, is to not resist and judge yourself when you have these thoughts coming up. Just recognize they're there for a reason. First of all, you've been thinking them for a long time. They don't just go away because you realize you don't want to think them anymore. They're still going to come up because it's a habit. Your brain has the habit of just popping up that thought. It's not a problem. And you know what? It doesn't even mean that you believe it anymore. I have a lot of thought habit thoughts that come up But I'm like, I don't even believe that anymore. My brain just likes to bring it up. Like it didn't ever get erased. These thoughts never get erased from our brains. They just pop up and I'm like, whoa, that's weird. Don't believe that one anymore. So have acceptance for the fact that these are coming up. Like, okay, that's just how a brain works. It has a thought and it likes to just bring it out every once in a while. And have compassion for yourself. You don't have to judge it. You don't have to shame it. There's usually a good reason you developed your thought habits. They were probably very protective for you at another time in your life. So have a lot of compassion for the past you that decided that thought is very important to believe. And then finally, recognize that you have the moment, the opportunity to make an intentional choice. And you know what? You can choose to keep thinking the thought habit is true, whatever that thought is. Or in that moment, you can make an intentional choice to think something else. It really is that simple. It's not easy to rewire your brain. It's not easy to make these kinds of shifts, but it is a really simple process. And it is the top reason that I have the business that I have, that I'm making millions of dollars, is because I did this work. Your thoughts are everything. Your thoughts are your decisions. Your thoughts are the words that you use in your marketing and selling. Your thoughts are everything in your business. I know a lot of people think that mindset and business strategy are very different things. It's all the same, because every single business strategy is a thought. Every single thing you're doing in your business, you're writing an email. You know what that email is? It's just a bunch of your thoughts. It's a bunch of your thoughts that you're sending out to somebody else or a bunch of somebody else's. You're on a discovery call. You know what's coming out of your mouth? Thoughts. You know what's coming out of their mouth? Thoughts. You know, when you're deciding what kind of business you're going to have, what your offer is going to be, where you're going to market your business, it's all thoughts. It's all impacted by thoughts. Making a decision is thinking. Like, it is all your mind. Not because of some kind of magic. Some of you believe that, and that's totally fine. But I'm also saying it's a very tangible thing as well. It can be both. It is very tangible. Your thoughts impact everything, and that's why it's so important to do this work. All right. Take that with you. I think your minds are probably all blown by some of the things I've said on here, and I can't wait to hear about it. If you had a little mind blown moment, make an Instagram story and then tag me in it at Samantha HMS. I want to hear, what was the thing that really blew your mind about this episode? What's the thing that you're taking forward with you? What was your big aha, your big takeaway? Tag me. I'm going to share them all. And I will talk to you all again back here next week. If you like this podcast, I want to invite you to coach with me over in my program, Mama to CEO. There's you, and there's the consistent income you want to make in your business, and I help you remove everything standing in between. It's lifetime access for mastering your marketing, sales, time, and everything else you need to have the business and life you really want. Whether it's making your first 1,000 or 100,000, I can help you do it. To join, go to mamatoceo.com, mamatoceo.com.